Hi, I'm Jessica Stutzman from Millcreek Township.
And I'm Chantel Rodriguez. Welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel.
Today we are pleased to welcome Ainsley Brozig, Executive Director, who is here to talk with us about the ExpERIEnce Children's Museum.
Thank you for joining us, Ainsley. We're so excited to have you today and talk about the ExpERIEnce Children's Museum.
Thanks for having me.
We love having you back. You're one of my favorite guests to have on the show. For those who might not be familiar, and I know we are extremely familiar, but for those who might not be, what is the ExpERIEnce Children's Museum and what makes it so unique?
So we are a hands-on museum in downtown Erie. I hate to use the word museum because museum makes you feel like you can't touch anything. But a children's museum is full of hands-on exhibits that educate kids in a fun way without them knowing. So it's really playful learning. And we take concepts that they would learn, like Newton's law and how a watershed works, and we break it down into easily playful activities that make them understand it better.
And I don't think it's just for kids. I think I honestly like playing as much as she does, you know?
You know, since we built this new museum, we have seen more and more adults that have enjoyed it or have asked, do I have to bring my kids? Can I have a night? So we do have adults only nights. So.
Okay, well that's good to know because I feel like sometimes I just bring my daughter so that I have an excuse to play too.
Yes, yes,
It's
that's
definitely
good. We have a
case.
saying that kids play to learn and adults learn to play, because it is something, you know, that goes on at the Children's Museum, and that's what kids are going to remember. You know, your daughter's going to remember that you played with her and climbed up the tower with her. You know, those are the memories that we want to try and create, and we hope that you carry that on at home. Everybody can use a little play in their life.
Yeah, everything is so fast-paced and stressful.
Structured. And this is a place where you can let go and have fun with the family.
Very little technology as well. Some of our exhibits have technology, but we really want parents to, you know, not be on their cell phone, really focus. You know, kids are only little for so long.
Yeah.
I know because I have teenagers. And so you want to just embrace that childhood and, you know, enjoy them in the town. We have a town called Erie, and there's a farm and a grocery store, and let them, you know, have make-believe play with you. Those are the memories that they'll remember.
I think that's our favorite as far as like going into the grocery store and taking photos, and they're just, you know, they're shopping as if they have an unlimited budget, but it's okay.
Well, and the funny thing about the grocery store is that it looks exactly like a Wegmans grocery store. They are our sponsor. And so kids love to shop, right? Us as adults are like, grocery shopping, but they don't like putting things back, putting things back on the shelves. And so the whole town, from the grocery store to the farm to the pet vet area, there's an auto mechanic area, there's a theater and a diner. The whole concept is there's a lot of jobs that make up a community, and each one is important. Somebody stocks the shelves at the grocery store and checks us out. The farmer grows our food that we eat, right? So we have to have farmers. Somebody takes care of our pets in pet vet, and so on. And somebody fixes our cars. And so we really want to try to encourage kids that this community aspect, it takes a lot of different expertise and different jobs that make up a community, and they're all important.
So true.
And you're talking about some of the things, you know, the grocery store, the auto mechanic shop. Now, are these a part of the new expansion that you guys all did? And even just walk us through when someone's just first coming in, what's the experience like when they're walking through those doors?
Sure. So we officially opened the entire museum in July of 2024. So it hasn't quite been a year yet, but we did do 2 phases. So that we can remain operational through the whole improvement process. And when you first come in, we have an amazing lobby now with a gift shop that is one of the favorites, of course, because every child wants something in the gift shop. But we have a gear wall that is interactive. It's an exhibit, and it plays music, and it's all of the people that help make the building possible. So all of our donors for the capital campaign. And then as you go through, the first floor is really kind of just a welcoming space. There's a coat room, lockers. We have lockers. There's stroller areas for you to park your stroller. But you'll see this giant atrium, and the showpiece is really this 2-story replica of the Niagara, and it's a ship that kids can interact with. You know, children's museums are really reflective of their community. So we wanted to make sure that kids were proud of things in Erie. We show Erie things. And it's not something you'd see at the Buffalo Children's Museum or the Pittsburgh Children's Museum. It's all unique and custom made for Erie.
Okay, so Ainsley, you just completed the expansion, and then we were talking about how the visitors walk through the front doors. What is the other side? What does the phase 2 portion look like? The art, because we know, again, my daughter loves art. That's one of our favorite sides to be on.
Yes, it's very hands-on and a little messy in that area, but it's all things that you can't do at home, which is really important. I'm not apt to get out all the messy paints and stuff and let my daughter or son paint on the windows, but you can at the museum. And so we have a giant wall that is a window that the kids paint, and it's one of the favorites in the art studio. There's also spin art, but it's with a bicycle. So you pedal, and spin art comes out when you put paint or markers or whatever in there. And then there's seasonal crafts in there. I shouldn't say seasonal because they change every week, but we're really trying to introduce culture, also holidays and celebrations around the world, and you can do that through art. And so they have done our educators have done some amazing projects for the kids just to learn about different techniques, different artists, and then that kind of carries out into the lobby area as well. We have a giant easel that looks like something in an art studio, and the kids can pick a famous painting and try to replicate it. There's also stop animation where kids can make movies. And I'll tell you what, I have seen some kids make some incredible little shorts, to the point where they can get this faster than we can. And then, of course, our 3 classrooms are there. The old museum had 1 classroom that could only fit about 10 kids. Now we have 3 classrooms, which is huge for us. We can see about 160 people at a time, 3 birthdays at a time, 3 summer camps at a time. They're available for rent for community use. Just some really nice space that we didn't have before.
Yeah, it is. It's so phenomenal. It's so beautiful. I do love being there. And, I know we've talked so many times about it, but what's so important, I think, is the hands-on learning. And we're very much, again, we do use an iPad when we have to, but I love when they get to use their imagination and creativity. And maybe you've done some research on it or have some of it, from the master plan, but how does that interactive play and the hands-on learning, how does that shape early childhood development?
So we were really thoughtful in thinking about those crucial ages. 2nd grade in particular is a grade that a lot of skills are really formed for children, and studies show that by 2nd grade, kids know if they like math or science. And if they do not have a decent feeling about learning math or science, the odds of them continuing and being successful in those fields are slim. And we know that those are really essential skills we need in the workforce. So you have to like math in almost everything you do. You don't have to love it, but you got to have some concepts and be willing to learn it. Science in particular affects so much, from your body and your health to the world around you and nature. And so we really are taking a deep look at 2nd grade. This new museum, in fact, will go through, the exhibits are focused through kids through 5th grade. And we're trying to keep them a little longer by doing some programming for middle schoolers. Our education team is made up of 3 educators that we literally plucked out of the classroom. Maria is a former kindergarten teacher at Deal Elementary. Claire is a STEM teacher from Erie Day School. And then Ashley has taught at multiple places as well. So we really take education seriously. We know that our job is important. We know that we need to change the narrative and get girls interested in STEM. That's
so important. I love that. I want my daughter to love math and science. I don't want her to think just because she's a girl, oh, I'm not that good at math.
Right.
You know, I want
Right.
those foundational skills to be rock solid, but also her enjoy them while she does them. And so, like, you guys kind of, you know, subliminal messaging, maybe, you know,
Yes.
infuse math into the fun of the Children's Museum.
So up on the, continuing our tour of the new side, or the phase 2 side, we really put some thought into that because there is a hands-on construction house. And I'll tell you what, through this whole construction process, and maybe you ladies have done home improvements at your own house, but you know, these are skills girls need to learn, boys need to learn. We need more technical skills and trade skills, no matter what. We really were struggling for our job to get our job completed in time because there's just not enough people in those fields. So we have a hands-on construction house where they can use real tools. Now people think I'm a little crazy, but real hammers, real drills. We have a staff member in there to help them, but they get to work with wood and nails and actually experience this. And I think that's amazing because if a kid takes an interest in that, hopefully they'll want to do that in the future. There's also an area dedicated to invention, right? So we know that Erie is really rich in entrepreneurs and people developing all kinds of really neat things. And so the whole area is devoted to giving kids a little glimpse of what they can do and that they can create, and nothing's off the table. And you can try something. If it doesn't work, try it again. So it's called the tinkering tank, and we give them things to tinker and make, and we ask them to maybe solve a problem. What's something that's you have in your daily life that's a problem, right? And then they try to solve it. We also feature a lot of items that were made in Pennsylvania and Erie. In fact, one of our latest things is the ice cream mold or scoop. One of those was developed in Erie.
Oh, wow.
And so one of our sponsors made us a replica. We have the patent and made it. And that's something, at some point someone decided we needed a scoop to get ice cream out of and made it. So we showcase things like that for the kids and hope to inspire them.
Mm-hmm. And I know, and you just said this and it struck a chord with me, but, you know, I'm trying very hard to, you know, instill in my daughter that she doesn't have to be perfect and mistakes can and probably should be made so that you can learn from them and do better. But also I want them to be made so she becomes resilient.
Yes.
You know, so I don't want her to think that, and it's obviously a struggle, but I don't want her to think she has to be perfect because I want those mistakes made. So
I was on the floor the other day and we have an air rocket, paper airplane, paper rocket display, and there's a huge cage, like flight lab, that you can test it. And there was a little boy there and he says, well, help me make this. And I said, well, here's the directions, you try it. And he was a little frustrated. And I said, okay, so that one didn't take off, let's try it again. What do we need to do? And he said, well, we need to make the wings bigger. And so I was like, it was that aha moment. I'm like, yes, that's what we want, right? He got a little frustrated, but then fixed it. And when that airplane took off, it was like, okay, raising $19 million for this museum was so worth it for that moment, you know? And moments like that happen all the time.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think even how you mentioned, you all specifically curated this museum to feature Erie themes and local-based ideas. And what would you say is probably the best exhibit out of the kids' mouths?
Yeah.
What is their favorite one?
Well, it's probably a tie. We have a custom-made water table in the lower level. It's the second largest in Pennsylvania, features all of the things iconic to Erie, like in your logo, the lighthouse or the Bicentennial Tower. It features the Niagara and whatnot. That is definitely one of the favorites. They love to play in the water, kids of all ages. But the other one is tried and true, and it's the grocery store.
Yeah.
They love shopping in the grocery store. And it's, you know, there's so much more that goes on than just the shopping and the, you know, using their imagination. We've done Girl Scout and Boy Scout badges where they learn about money manager. You were talking about what things cost. And to assign a child $20 and say, okay, you need to go buy dinner for the night. And they're in shock that milk's $5, you know?
Yeah.
So life skills we're teaching.
Yeah. How do you and maybe this was, the architects, or maybe we had a lot of input here on our side. How do you incorporate those local themes, or how did you decide which themes we're gonna stick?
So before we even built the museum, we had a lot of focus groups, parents, donors, families, kids. Kids were pretty influential. We asked, what do you want to see? Because we know we have to have something that they like. We heard a lot of movement. They wanted to move around, so that's why we had the 2-story climber built. We heard water. We heard grocery store, so we made that bigger. But then we did a lot of traveling to other museums and what was popular, what was hot, what matched our community, right? So what are some things that we knew we wanted to show? It sounds silly, but we have an ice table. And the kids play with ice. Why? Well, half of the year there's ice in Erie, right? So we embrace it. There's a bubble that we have. Well, that was iconic to one of the very first exhibits we had at the museum had a bubble. So we brought that back. There's a train that goes around on the second floor. That was in an old Tops grocery store, and it was gifted to the museum. It's a replica GE locomotive.
Oh, wow.
And that's part of our history, right? So you'll see little tidbits of that spread throughout the museum.
Yeah, no, that's so cool though, and I love that the kids were so influential into it all.
Yes.
Yeah, and talking about the educational programs and all of that, how can families and schools even take advantage of those programs?
Yeah, so we are really pushing field trips. If you're a teacher out there, we work with all the school districts, but we now, before we'd see preschool, kindergarten, first grade, now we're starting to see second, third, fourth, fifth. And that's the point. There are things for them to do as well, especially this time of year. It's a great time for field trips. All of that can be found on our website. We actually have a mobile museum that travels out as well. And we have a lot of special events that families can enjoy. And there's some really great ones coming up that can all be found on our website.
Awesome.
Are there special opportunities for parents or caregivers, from aside from what we've already mentioned, to get involved in the Children's Museum, or even just, again, volunteering their time?
Yep, we're really right now, a lot of corporate groups are volunteering. So if you are a business and want to volunteer, there's always projects. We're always looking for retired school teachers, gardening, we have an outdoor classroom. And then teen volunteers. We have a great teen volunteer program. Sometimes they need service hours for their high school or their clubs, and we gladly accept those as well. And there's applications on our website for that.
Wonderful, that's fantastic. So go to the website if you want to volunteer or get involved.
Yes.
Okay.
And also for updates on events and classes, our summer camps are going to be coming out. We do 6 weeks of summer camps, and those will fill very quickly. And there's 3 different age ranges. So if you have kids in multiple age groups, you can sign them all up.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think even on your social media too, like you're always updating, there's always so many photos and just of the things that you are doing in the community. So if you can just give everyone the social media handles and they can find you there and also on your website.
Yeah, I think it's Erie Kids Museum for Instagram, but our website's eriechildrensmuseum.org. And what we really need, we built this amazing facility. It's something you'd see in any big city. We really need people to come. Downtown is becoming such a destination now. There is now Hazard's Mini Golf. There is the sweet shop. There's a coffee shop, the food hall. You could really spend an afternoon in downtown Erie, and please make sure the Children's Museum's part of that visit as well.
It is. It's such a destination. So I know we're just wrapping up our show here. So Ainsley, I just want to ask, is there anything that you want to mention that's on the horizon that we should be excited to look for? And then again, we'll share your contact information.
Sure. So we have a traveling exhibit space in the museum. We purposely did not finish one area. And that is really exciting because every couple months we will change that out with a different theme. So right now it's Discover the Dinosaurs, and so we have a life-size Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh, that's so
in there.
cool.
No, not a Tyrannosaurus Rex, Triceratops. I misspoke. Tyrannosaurus Rex would be too big. And then our next one is going to be something, and you're the first to know. It's kind of an interactive drawing exhibit. Your daughter will love it.
Yeah.
And it features Erie, and they get to draw on the walls and everything like that.
Oh my gosh.
And then we're having something called Turtle Travels. We're going to do one on bicycle safety where kids can ride bikes in that area. So that'll be changing. And so that's really exciting because we've never had the opportunity to change things out like that. We also have an adult egg hunt in April.
Really?
Get your tickets, look online. It is amazing. Adults get to run through the museum and collect eggs, and you get amazing prizes. Starbucks gift cards, Target gift cards. There's alcohol, there's food. It is so fun.
That sounds
All the things that we want.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna say, just all the shopping, the coffee.
Yes.
Oh, Ainsley, that sounds so fantastic. I just want to say that the Children's Museum and everything that you have done for it is such an inspiration to our community, and it really is a destination. So I do want to thank you for being here on the show today and visiting us and continuing to share all of the wonderful things that you guys are doing for our kids.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and we appreciate the support. We didn't build this for us, we built it for the community.
Yeah, so true. So thank you so much. Viewers, I want to thank you for tuning into today's show on the ExpERIEnce Children's Museum. If you have not been there, like we mentioned today, it is quite the destination. Your children, grandchildren, they're going to have so much fun. You as adults will not be bored. So I encourage you to go and check it out in the wintertime, in the summertime. There is always something new being offered. So I want to thank you for tuning in to the Millcreek Government Channel today. And until next time, have a great day.